Вот адаптированный перевод на английский язык, подготовленный специально для озвучки. Я убрал лишние знаки препинания, заменил цифры словами и перефразировал сложные конструкции, чтобы текст звучал плавно и естественно при чтении вслух. You think winning at gambling is pure bliss, maximum joy, the peak of emotion. But here's the strange thing. This euphoria is always stronger than it should be. You win a little, but it feels like you hit the jackpot. You win by accident, but inside, you feel like you calculated everything perfectly. The brain inflates this moment. It makes it bigger, brighter, and more significant than it actually is. Why? Because to your brain, it is not just money. It is a signal that you did something right. And in that moment, it rewards you fully. A sharp surge of pleasure, warmth through your body, a sense of elevation. But the problem is that this feeling is deceptive. It does not reflect reality. And that is exactly why winning feels so powerful, stronger than it deserves to be. And then comes the moment of the win itself. You see the result, and in that same second, your body reacts. A sharp surge, as if something inside just fired. Imagine, the slot is spinning, the reels are slowing down. Two identical symbols have already matched, and the third clicks into place. Click. And in that moment, there is a strike inside, as if you have been jerked upward. This is dopamine. The brain registers. Reward received. A wave of warmth passes through your body. Your face relaxes, your breath catches, a sense of uplift appears. For a fraction of a second, it feels like you did not just win money, you won the situation. As if you were right. This is euphoria. But there is an important point. This peak is very short. It is like a camera flash in the dark. For a second, everything becomes bright, clear, and meaningful. And then, back to the ordinary picture. After a few seconds, the emotion is already weaker. After a minute, it almost disappears. And this is where the main thing happens. The brain does not remember the amount, not the win itself. It remembers the surge, that brief moment when things felt very good. As if you tried something extremely delicious once, and now you want to repeat that exact taste. And then it makes a simple conclusion. I want more. Not the money, not the result, but this state of being. Immediately after a win, a thought appears that seems absolutely logical. I understand how this works. For example, you bet on black and won, and a chain already forms in your head. I felt the moment. I did not just place that bet for no reason. Or, in poker, you get a strong hand, and you start thinking that you read the game. Even though a minute ago, it was pure chance. But the brain does not like chaos. It needs an explanation. It takes a random event and turns it into a pattern. It is like if you guessed the weather correctly once without a forecast, and decided you now have the power to predict it. It collects the details. How you pressed the button, the exact moment you placed the bet, what you felt inside, and it glues it into a story. I am in control of the process. And at that moment, a dangerous substitution occurs. You no longer perceive the game as a matter of chance. You begin to see a system in it, as if it is not roulette, but a skill. And that is when confidence appears. Calm, almost cold. I can do it again. It is this confidence that pushes you to make the next bet. Not excitement, not emotion, but the illusion of control. After a win, the brain makes another mistake that almost no one notices. It begins to overvalue the victory. Suppose you played 20 times. 19 times you lost, and 1 time you won. But in your memory, it is that one single moment that stays. You remember how the screen lit up, how the money came in, how light and pleasant it felt inside. This episode becomes as bright as a flash. Now, remember the losses. They blur into one, as if they are not 19 separate events, but just, well, I got unlucky a couple of times. The brain does this automatically. It does not like to hold focus on the unpleasant. A loss is stress, and the brain tries to fold it away quickly. A win, on the other hand, it amplifies. It is like in life. You can get 10 neutral comments and 1 ecstatic one, and that is the one that will keep spinning in your head. Or the other way around. 1 negative comment can overshadow everything. But in gambling, the brain often clings specifically to the win. As a result, a distorted picture emerges. It seems to you that you win more often than you actually do. That overall, things are going okay. That just a little bit more and you will be in the black. Even though, if you do the math, you have been in the red for a long time. And it is this distortion that keeps you inside the game. But here is what happens next. The most unpleasant and most important part. This euphoria does not last. You just won. You just felt that surge. And suddenly you notice it is already fading. As if someone is turning down the volume. A second ago it was bright, loud, and powerful. And now it is becoming ordinary. You look at the screen. The money is there. The victory is there, but the feeling is no longer the same. And in that moment, a strange thought appears. I need to do it again. Not because the money is not enough, but because that feeling is not enough. It is like a sip of cold water in the heat. You drink and it feels good, but a minute later, you want it again, and you take another and another. The problem is, the second time is not the same. The third is even weaker. The brain adapts quickly. What just felt like a peak becomes the new normal. And to feel that same level again, you need more. Higher bets, more risk, more tension. It is as if you are trying to repeat that first intense taste, and every time it gets fainter. This is where the real trap begins. You are no longer playing for the win. You start chasing a sensation that is already slipping away. And that is exactly why people do not stop after a victory. And here, the most dangerous mechanism kicks in. The desire to repeat that feeling. You have already experienced the surge, that brief moment when everything inside lifted. And now, the brain creates a very simple link. The bet, the win, the intense sensation. It does not analyze deeply. It does not care how many times you lost before. It remembers the peak. It is like if you went on an extreme amusement park ride once and remembered only the moment your breath was taken away. Not the cue, not the fear before, not the discomfort after. Only that one surge. And now, you want it again. You sit down to play no longer for the sake of money, but to repeat that state. And you start doing things you did not do before. Betting faster, risking more, increasing the amounts. Because inside, there is a feeling. One more time, and it will be just like that. But the problem is, that first peak never repeats. It was always unique. And the harder you try to catch it, the further away it moves. But the brain does not understand this. It keeps pushing you forward, again and again. Now, compare this to a loss. You would think a win is joy, so it should be what keeps you in the game. But the opposite happens. The loss hooks you harder. Imagine, you just won. The emotion spiked and quickly left. You exhaled. You relaxed. A thought even appears. Well, I could stop now. But now, a loss. You bet and you lost. And immediately, there is tension inside. The body does not relax. On the contrary, it braces. Your heart beats faster. Your thoughts speed up. A sense of incompleteness appears, as if something is unfinished. And the brain does not let go of this state. It starts spinning one single thought: I need to get it back. It is like in life, when you almost achieved a result, but at the last moment, it all fell apart. You do not let it go. You go back to it again and again. A win completes the cycle. It puts a period at the end. A loss, on the contrary, opens it. It leaves a tension inside that you want to release. And the only way the brain suggests is to make one more attempt. That is why victory does not keep you, but defeat keeps you. And here is the main conclusion all of this leads to. Winning is not a reward. It is bait. It gives you a brief, bright surge. It shows you how good it can be, but it does not hold you. Because the real power is not in the pleasure. It is in the tension that remains afterward. Winning is a flash. Losing is a hook. One gives you a taste, the other forces you to return. And the entire system is built on exactly that. You catch that moment of euphoria, and then you try to get back to it again. But every time you find yourself at the same point, where there is no longer joy, but tension, and the urge to continue. And at some point, it becomes obvious. The game holds you not because you are winning, but because you cannot let go.